Welcome to the Fight with Depression podcast, the podcast for people who want to improve their mental health. My name is Christopher Boussard, and I would like to welcome Molly back onto the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
Molly is still not feeling great, I guess.
I feel pretty good. I just don't sound great right yet.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. That's up to the listener to decide.
I guess so.
So she's been gone for a little bit, just not feeling well, and now we have her back.
Yay.
So, so she listened to the last, obviously, I run them all by her. Either I try to do it before I post them, the episodes and everything, and so she was listened to a couple, a couple different variations, a couple takes. You listened to it before I finished it.
I listened to it before you finished it, and then I listened to the finished product.
Yes. Because I ran through, what did I say, about 17 minutes or so. I didn't like it, so I restarted the episode, and I still didn't like it, so I had Molly listen to it, and she said that it was not too bad, and encouraged me to just finish the episode as I was doing it, and so I finished it, ran it by her. But she did say that she wanted to come back on and kind of, I don't know, there was more, I guess, to be said. I think there's more to be said on all of them that we
I
need
think
to
so
readdress,
too.
but
I think it was, and I think you discounted yourself there when you said it was not too bad. I didn't say that. I said it was good, but I feel like there's more that needs to be addressed.
yes.
Yes.
But there's more. I think that, there's more that needs to be addressed on all of them. I just can't talk that long.
But I can.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what we're going to be doing, is just kind of
Visiting.
revisiting. I was going to say like rehashing, but that's
That sounds
probably
bad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Anywho, so we were I was talking about how I had been just in a funk like the last, I don't know. I said a few days before, might have been when, one of the kids got sick, and you said, no, it's been longer than that. So I don't know. I can't, I guess, pinpoint anything that would have kind of got me into that funk, and I'm still, I'm trying to do better, but is there anything that you can pinpoint that happened that I'm not aware of? And this is part of it, is that we're not always aware of the things that kind of, get us into a funk.
I think from what I witnessed, I saw a change. You had a conversation with an individual that was kind of out of the blue. And I think that put you into your kind of low spot. I think that that kind of set it off a little bit, because I noticed your just the way that you would respond to not only me, but other people. But it was just a little bit more short and curt, and I knew that there was definitely something that was bugging you. And I feel like it was, and I could be wrong, but it kind of seemed like it started when you had a little conversation that was kind of out of the blue that you weren't expecting.
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
So going along those lines, have you learned to pick up any cues or any clues from me, or anything that's like, oh, he's going to start going into a downswing here?
When you get quiet, and it's not, Christopher's a lot more quiet than I am, or than the kids are, but it's one of those getting quiet when you shouldn't be. Like, I ask you a question and you just don't respond, or something happens and there's no smile, when normally there would be a smile there. Those are kind of some of my cues that, okay, something's up, or also just the, something I could say 1,000 times and you take it one way. When you're starting to kind of go down that path, I could say that and you get a little more short tempered.
Okay. So do you think, I guess, have you been able to recognize, like, okay, well, he's starting to go downhill here. This is what I can do or shouldn't do or anything like that?
Yeah. I think sometimes it's easier than others, of course, but when we've talked a lot about opening up and being honest with our feelings, and if I can say to you, hey, what's going on? Is something bothering you? And you are not very responsive to me, then I know that something's really, really bothering you. Sometimes I can say that and it kind of snaps you back into like, yeah, I have a lot of anxiety right now, or I've got a lot on my plate, whatever it is. And you can kind of recognize that. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm being a little bit, I'm kind of going down that path. But, sometimes if I say that and that response isn't very positive, like I don't get the, hey, I'm having a lot of anxiety right now. I get more of a, I'm fine type response. Then that cues me into, okay, he's going somewhere, and I have to, I don't want to say tread lightly, but I have to think about how I'm going to respond next.
Okay. But I think that's not really fair, though. Can I say that?
Sure.
To be like, oh, you need to be careful about how you speak to me, or you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's more of, if I can get you to honestly answer me with, I'm having anxiety right now, then I know, okay, you have a little anxiety or a lot or whatever it is. I'm just going to let you, kind of work through it and this and that. But if it's more of a, I'm fine, then I have to go, okay, so what is it, that's going on? There's obviously something, and it's not just he's having anxiety because of this, that, or the other. There's something deeper happening. And I think that's what I mean. I'm like, okay, how do I approach that in a loving way to help you instead of in a way of getting frustrated that you're frustrated? Because that doesn't help, because we've been down that path.
so then, is there anything that I guess maybe two-part question here. Is there anything that I am doing or have done recently, or anything that I've that you think that I have learned that has helped, or anything that you have learned or done differently that has helped?
So I'm going to go back to that first part, and it's pretty specific how I said that I noticed the mood change, the funk, whatever you want to call it, after you had a conversation. About 2.5 weeks passed, and then there was a follow-up conversation that was had with that same individual, and I noticed a change in you pretty much immediately after that. And my interpretation of it was that during that time, during that 2.5 weeks, you had anxiety, you had stress, you had frustration, you had all these things, but it was maybe just a little too much to share with me, or you didn't feel like it or whatever. And that's no judgment, that's fine. But when that was resolved, you came back, and it kind of seems like maybe the anxiety or the funk or what the depression, whatever it is you want to call it in that moment, it was just very situational and being caused by an overload of stress. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but it just kind of,
I mean, it does to me.
well, that's good.
But
At least we
I know,
understand each other.
but I'm the
Nobody
one.
else does.
I'm living it, so maybe other people can relate.
Well, and I
But
think I have seen that with other people before. I think people who are under, large amounts of stress or even small amounts of stress, if they can't seem to have some sort of actual release from that, or if they're just dealing with it day to day and it's continually coming back, or it's something that they're not addressing, I think it definitely manifests in like a curtness and a stress, and you don't necessarily know that you're doing it. And sometimes it just takes somebody pointing it out, being like, hey, do you realize you're behaving this way? And I don't want you guys to think that I'm picking on Christopher, because I'm not. Like, I'm guilty of this also. When I get stressed out, I get really irritated and frustrated, and Christopher will, slap me and be like, hey, cut it out. I mean, not physically, just like with a
I was gonna say, you
mental
better say
slap.
metaphorically.
I know. It just like,
Somebody's
like
gonna report
smack
me
it out
now.
of me, like, hey,
He's an abusive
stop
husband.
doing this.
Well, I think everybody deals with that, like situational anxiety, situational,
Yeah.
your stress, whether or not it's the ups and downs of depression. People have the ups and downs of stress, right?
Yeah.
And maybe is it the same, I don't know, is it the same things that we need to recognize in one another, where when somebody's going through a stressful situation in their life, like does that person have telltale signs that they're about ready to just kind of start spiraling downward? And is that something that somebody needs to recognize? They need to act on it, or leave that person alone, or what actions need to be taken? um, and I had said that in the last episode, I said that I prefer to be left alone. But it's only for a certain amount of time. It's not good to be left alone too
Yeah.
long. So then, have I guess so. Have you been able to determine, or have you even recognized that, like, oh, he needs to be left alone for this amount of time, or is it a time thing, or is it like a okay, you're at this point now, I need to slap you out of it, or
I don't know, honestly. I think it just kind of depends. I think that um recently, and I'm saying within the past year, your you come out of the dark places easier than before. I feel like it's easier to kind of get you, to kind of get you back on track. Not that I'm getting you back on track. I don't want it to make it sound like that, but that you have less time where you're feeling that, funky and everything. Um, I think sometimes it helps if you are aware of it. I don't think sometimes you necessarily are aware that, you're behaving a certain way, that you may feel it, but you don't know that we're picking up on it too. And I think that, that it's a lot easier for us to communicate, us meeting me and the kids, to communicate that, and you kind of come back. But there's no time frame, I don't think. I think it's just you just have to pay attention to the other person and kind of see how they're doing and pick up on their cues and go, okay, he's really grumpy today. I'm just going to leave him alone. Or, she's being super mean. I'm going to call her out on this, or whatever it is. It just, I don't know. I think it depends.
so
So I
along
haven't learned
those,
anything, I guess.
I guess not.
Yeah.
Yikes.
No.
So along those lines, well, this is going to feel weird now, but do you have since you haven't learned anything, do you have any advice that that you could maybe give to somebody, that, or something that you have learned, um, when you have seen me going through, um, like that I'm in a bad spot, or anything that maybe, let that person go for this amount of time, or call them out, or, anything that you, I guess, have learned.
I mean, once again, everybody's different. So how do you give advice to somebody who has a completely different, you know, personality or take, or is different with a dealing with a different situation? But if I had to give advice on, say one of the kids or something, to, you know, how they're recognizing that you're down or something, and I had to talk to somebody about how to talk to you, give them a little space, kind of see if they can come out of it on their own. If the day goes by and it's getting worse, bring it up. Say, I've noticed that you seem to be a little bit more curt, or you seem to be unhappy, or you seem to be this. Is something going on? Do you want to talk about it? And I think that, just like I said before, I don't know that you always realize that, other people can see it or sense it. And I think it's really helped. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if I just kind of say, you seem to be having a bad day. Do you want to talk about it? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's actually, yeah, I'm having a bad day and I don't know why. Or sometimes, yeah, I'm having a bad day because I'm frustrated with A, B, and C. Well, if I can help with A, B, and C, then I'm going to offer that. But sometimes, if you just need to be left alone, then
Yeah. I was gonna say, sometimes I don't want
that's
help.
fine. Yeah.
Sometimes people
But
don't want, there's a little kitten on my lap, and I'm wondering if I'm gonna be able to pick up his purring. I
probably
don't know that he's
very,
pretty loud, but
he's a really loud purring kitty.
I hope you all can hear that.
It's
Anyway,
calming. Get a cat.
yeah, I know.
It
Yeah,
is.
he is sitting on my lap, and I'm kind of just petting him and everything. Um, so let's get back on track. So to that point, we have a child who is very difficult to tell whether or not doing something is going to get her out of a bad mood or put her in a worse mood. And stress can kind of definitely escalates the level of anxiety and everything. But I have, and we've kind of talked about this, where you're like, no, I don't want her to get worse. I don't want this to happen. And there's, I think part of it, I will say, no, she needs to just recognize that this behavior is not okay. And she needs to, her mood is affecting other people. And I don't know, I think maybe to go back on that, and if somebody had said to me, like, look, you are fine. If you want to sit here and pout and mope and feel bad for yourself, then do so. But your the way you're handling it right now is not okay, because you're taking it out on other people. Um, I don't know how I would have. I don't know how I would take that. Honestly, I don't know if I would be like, "Yep, okay," because I think I've been able to recognize that more, that um, my my negativity, it can affect other people, and that's not okay to allow that to happen. Um, and I don't know, I've mentioned it, but our youngest is very good at calling people out on things.
Yes, she
And
is.
so, since I have retired, I am now um, growing a beard. But I also have, I don't, it's a form of obsessive compulsive disorder, where a lot of the time it results in pulling out hair. I will definitely play with my hair. Um, and sometimes I pull it out there, and somebody, I know somebody listening somewhere is going to be telling the name of whatever condition it is, and I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I don't remember either.
Anyway, so our youngest will say, "Dad, you're pulling at your beard hair," or "Dad, you're playing with your hair." And um, I think historically, I probably would have gotten upset at that, and our other daughter will kind of get upset because she thinks that the youngest is correcting me, and I'm going, you know what? That's It's okay for her to correct me because this is a behavior that I know is not okay.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be. I try and I try and I try and I know that pulling the hair on my chin out is not okay. Playing with it is it's annoying. It's a behavior I don't want to do. So calling me out on it is okay. And I need to let people know that I think that's on me is I need to let people know, like, if I am doing something that is not okay, if my behavior is not appropriate, please call me out on it.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think that, um, I think that I tried that a long time ago, and the reaction was a lot different, and now you've opened up more. And if you are, you know, having difficulties and whatever, and I can say that to you and you don't get offended or upset or hold it against me. But with our oldest, like Christopher is saying, I think she's still learning that balance of that too, and trying to figure out that sometimes her moods, even though it's a um we'll just say it, I don't want to say an excuse, but whatever it is, that she's in a bad mood, that she can treat all of us poorly. And sometimes we let it go because we're aware that, um, okay, it's going to pass. Just leave her alone. Let it go. And then recently, I flat out called her out and I told her how disrespectful she was being to me and how she hurt my feelings because of, this, that, and the other. And I was really upset. And she didn't say really anything. And then she got super, super nice and was trying to apologize without apologizing. And I told her, I said, I'm still mad. And that's it, because this doesn't just make it right. It's not okay because you know better. And she heard me for sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just takes that kind of tough love, if you will,
Yeah, and I think that's kind of on, with it, I don't know, with everybody, but that's on both people. That's on her to recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
But if somebody
it's
can't recognize it, it helps to,
right.
yeah.
And I think for us, we have been trying to learn, like, in what situations does she need to be called out, and in what situations does she need to be left alone. And you're not always going to get it right.
Yeah.
We, as much as she and I are alike, I don't always I don't get it right. I think, I kind of pride myself on saying, oh, this is what she needs right now, but I'm not. Yeah, like I said, I don't get it right all the time, and I'm lucky if I get it right half the time. But it's in her best interest and our best interest to, if she needs to be called out on it, if I need to be called out on it, to call that person out.
Yeah.
Because it's not okay for my crappy behavior, for me to take my crappy behavior out on you and for you to feel bad about that.
Yeah.
And I think that, there's always a polite way to bring it up, but if somebody's negativity, if somebody's crappiness is hurting you, then I think I think we need to have enough self-respect to be able to call that person out on it and say, look, the way you're treating me is not okay. And if you're going to keep, talking to me like this, then you can go pout in your room by yourself and have like I said last week, it's, you can have yourself a pity party that nobody else wants to come to. And if you call me out on that, it's up to me to recognize that and respect that, I guess.
Well, I mean, and it's how you handle it too. Do you listen and be like, "Oh, yep, I need to snap out of this. I need to cut it out," or does it escalate and then it gets worse? But no matter what the outcome, I think I think it's been something that we're both of us, and I think a lot of people, I don't know, these days, we're better about standing up for ourselves. And it's okay to, if somebody's, hurting your feelings. That sounds like such a high school thing or grade school thing. But, if somebody is just being completely disrespectful to you, you don't have to take it no matter what they're going through. You can call them out on it. And you're right. It is up to them on how they proceed with that. But it's better that people, at least I think it's better to be aware of how you're being, I don't know, perceived, I guess, or how you're coming off to somebody else. Because with our kids, I mean, our job as their parents is to raise them to be respectable human beings, respectable adults. We're not raising them to be children. And so we don't treat them like they're children. We hold them to the same standards that we do ourselves with a lot of things. And if they're being disrespectful or rude or whatever it is, we're going to let them know this, because they need to, I don't know.
Well, so you say that we hold them to the same, I'm going to kind of push back or clarify a couple of things. You say we hold them to the same standard. What did you say?
I don't know what I said.
I don't know. So we hold them to the same accountability.
Yeah.
But we also need to accept and understand that they are children.
Yes.
They are our children. And they shouldn't be held to the same standard we are currently, but it's our job to raise them to a higher standard than we have for ourselves right now. So to expect our children to react the same way, or to treat people or act the same way as we do now, is not feasible, is not appropriate. But to be able to expect that standard to be implemented on them as adults, that's what we're raising them to do, is to be better, decent human beings, and not to the same standard as we are currently.
Yeah, and if that's how it sounded that I was saying, that's not what I was intending. And what I mean, so let's just give an example, of our middle child is wonderful and amazing. And he has all of a sudden gotten a little bit quiet when around adults. And we have had conversations, and we're like, when somebody speaks to you, it is polite to respond back to them. I'm not saying you have to have a conversation, but this is what, when somebody speaks to you, you respond back to them. When you go to a restaurant, you order your food and you say it loud enough so they can hear it. We're not getting after them, or they're not getting in trouble for doing these things not to our expectations, nothing like that. If that's what my my rant was sounding like. It's like, hey, we're going to teach you how to do this.
That way, when he's an adult, he's not doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And going, well, I wasn't raised to,
Yeah, he's not looking down. Yeah, well, nobody ever told me that. Well, that's not an excuse because we're telling you. No.
And then you said something that kind of made me, I don't know, think. I want to clarify. When we're talking about, pushing back and saying the way you're treating me is not acceptable, that's not discrediting what somebody is going through. That's not discrediting the mood that somebody's in, or if somebody's feeling crappy, that's fine. And I tell the kids, like, it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be down, but it's not okay to treat other people poorly because of it. If I'm feeling just in the dumps, that's okay. I don't need to snap out of it. I don't need to just, buck up or just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, or
you can't do
what you can't do. That's not what we're saying at all. It's not just like, hey, snap out of it, knock it off. That's what we're saying is it's not okay to treat other people poorly and use whatever you're going through as an excuse to continue to do so.
Yeah. Just because you're in a bad mood doesn't give you a free pass to treat other people with disrespect, or, to just be mean or grumpy or whatever it is. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And then I know we're kind of running out of time here.
We get off on, little side tangents there.
So because we're speaking of the ups and downs, and we've been more talking about the downs than the ups. What have you learned about when I'm feeling like, okay, now I'm in a good mood, I'm in a happy mood, or whatever? And I talked about how I don't allow myself to get to that point, or try not to.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak on that at all?
Yeah, that drives me nuts, and it always has. And we've had a lot of conversations about it, and I think it's just been a pretty recent thing that you've come to that realization that it's okay to feel good. Because like you said in the podcast, in the previous episode, that's life. Life is full of highs and lows and ups and downs. But why in the world? It makes me so sad. Thinking that you went through so much of your life, and I'm sure other people are the same way, trying not to get excited or trying not to feel joy about something because you're afraid of what's going to be on the other end, and how far that fall is from I'm really happy and then something bad happens or I get disappointed, and then that goes down, and it drives me crazy because there's a lot of moments that have been extremely joyful that you haven't allowed yourself to feel. And I am so happy now. And I can't say that you're feeling joy, but that you have realized that it is okay to feel good. And when you have that, roller coaster ride that goes down, you're going to eventually come back up again. And I think it's important to celebrate and enjoy the good times and the happy times, and know that not just go like, okay, time's gonna, I'm gonna come down again and it's gonna be low, but thinking of it more as I'm on a journey and it's part of it. If you kind of picture a pathway and it's not all up and it's not all down, it's series of ups and downs, and you'll get to where you need to be, right? But you have the highs and the lows, and you have to experience all of them. And I don't know. It's just it drives me nuts. We've talked about this for years, and um
It's the roller coaster.
it's a roller coaster.
Was that on the part that did I cut that out?
I don't remember.
Did you the Parenthood, the movie Parenthood?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The movie
So that was in
Parenthood.
there. Okay. Yeah. It's the roller coaster, and I think, like I said the last episode, it's kind of, I don't know. I should have just been able to say, I'm at a high. We're going to be going down, but that's going to be okay. That's life.
Yeah, it's okay. It reminds me of that, the movie Blow with Johnny Depp and his dad. His dad's played by Ray Liotta. And I'm not going to quote it because I'm going to get it wrong, but he says something to the effects of, and he's talking about money, but I'm just going to use it in life. He's like, money isn't real. When you're up, you never think you're going to be down. And when you're down, you never think you're going to get back up again. And that's so true with life, like when you're happy, it's hard to think that you're going to be sad again. And when you're sad, it's hard to think that you'll ever be happy again. And it's just experience and embrace all of it, because you're going to have both all the time. Sometimes multiple times throughout the day, depending on what kind of mail you get.
That was a good tie-in. I was wondering how our lives were reflective of a movie about drug smuggling, but, that's, glad you tied that in. So
it's a good movie.
Anywho, we're kind of wrapping up here. So any final words you want to say?
Oh, I don't know. I just think that, what was the title of the last episode? It was the ups and downs.
Managing the ups and downs.
Managing the ups and downs. Yeah. I think it's important when you are down to know that you will get back up again. Yeah. And if you can.
There's a song about that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I get knocked down.
Oh, no. No, that's not a good song at all. That's very bad. Anyway.
In Molly's opinion, that is.
In my opinion. And lots of other people's. But yeah, just knowing that it's going to be okay and knowing that you have support to help you if you need help getting back up. Because I just think that's so important, because a lot of times when we're down, we can feel not just down, but completely alone. And that's one thing, at least, that I try to do with Christopher when he's down, telling him that I am here. Like, he knows I'm here. He can see me. He can touch me. I'm there. But just reminding him that if there's something that I can do, I'm all for it.
And I think one good thing that Molly always said was, remember, I'm on your side. I think that was probably the biggest thing that stuck with me. Remember, I'm on your side. So I don't know.
I am.
You always have somebody on your side. It's important to find who those people are. So if you want to reach out to us, as always, go to thefightwithdepression.com. You can go to the contact page, and please remember to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to it. Spotify, you can answer the questions, the polls, all of that. And I think you have to do that through the mobile app. I don't think you can do that on the online browser or anything. So if you have the Spotify app, you can go to the polls, the Q&A, just kind of scroll down in the episode and answer those. Let us know if there's anything else that you want to hear. And you look like you had something in. No? Okay. And anyway, check us out at thefightwithdepression.com. See what we're up to. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. And until next time, God bless.